Damon here from Fender at Nottingham Drum and Guitar Centre, having a lot of fun here today in the middle of Nottingham, having a play with some of Fender's great amps and guitars and listening to some sounds. Now the next guitar we've got here is a signature model from one of the most iconic guitar players of all time, the great Eric Clapton, who obviously has been associated with the Strat for many years, and this is one of the longest running signature models of Fender's. So very quickly, let's have a little have a chat about it and see what you get. You get an alder body, like a 50 Strat. We have a V neck as well, just as you might find again on a 50 Strat. Vintage tuners, but with a 9.5 radius fretboard. What is this? I hear you cry. Okay, well, the idea is vintage Fenders had 7.25 radius fretboard, which means it's very curved, and with little frets it makes the guitar quite hard to bend on. And obviously Mr. Clapton likes to do lots of this. Okay, so we flatten the fretboard off, so it has a vintage feel to it, and yet the fretboard feels and plays like a modern American standard guitar. We have the bridge here is also blocked off, so the trem doesn't work, which a lot of Strat players like to do, as generally it gives you more sustain and a little bit of a better sound. We also have noiseless pickups. The beauty of that being, if you play loud or you play anywhere where there are dimmer switches or computer screens or neons or anything like that, which there often are in recording studios, for instance, you don't get any noise, no hum, no buzz. So obviously, when Mr. Clapton's playing on big stages with huge lighting rigs and very loud amps, etc., doesn't get any buzz and any noise, which is very good. The control layout is a little different as well to a traditional Strat. We have our volume control, obviously a 5-way. The tone control is what we call TBX control. So in the middle, it's off. If we roll it one way, rolls all the top end off. If we do it the other way, it actually adds more brightness and more top end to it. So it's an active tone control. However, where the real fun starts is down here on the second tone control. In an attempt to get some more fat sounds, obviously Clapton used to use 335s and SGs and Les Pauls, as well as Strats. He loved the playability and the look and the feel of a Strat, but wanted something a little bit fatter from the single coils. So the Clapton Strat comes with a 25 dB mid-range boost, which for anybody who knows anything about sound, 25 dB is a lot. It's a big boost. So what this allows him to do when he plays live, especially, uses Fender hand-wired 57 Tweed twin amps, running them clean. This isn't a hand-wired 57 Tweed twin. It's a slightly smaller approximation thereof, but it is a little valve amp, so it'll give you an idea of what it does. So with our boost all the way off and our tone control in the middle, it sounds doing this either. Etc. You get the idea. Okay, so great vintage sounding Strat. So what we'll do is we'll just bring the mid-range boost into play a little bit. So if I play a nice A chord down here, turn up the boost a little bit, you can hear already that the valves sides of the amp are being pushed harder. So we're starting to get a little bit of dirt, a little bit of hair, a little bit of nastiness coming into the tone. Okay, round a bit more. Oh, fantastic. It's instant Clapton woman tone. Maybe add a little bit more top end. Okay, then finally, all the way round, the full 25 dB. I keep doing that. That's what it feels like for the front of the amp. Turn it off. Spanky, clean Strat. Turn it on. You have a crazed, fire-breathing monster of a guitar. So what it allows Mr. Clapton to do, or indeed any guitarist, is to go from something that plays like a modern guitar, however looks and has the kind of vibe of a vintage guitar, but allows the player to change from real classic, crystalline, spanky single coil sounds to something that sounds like a Les Paul or a 335 cranked up through a big stack, just merely at the turn of the knob. So I think the best thing to do, if you've never seen one of these, you've never tried one, pop down and see the guys at Nottingham Drum and Guitar Centre. Plug this beauty into a good valve amp, preferably Fender, of course, and have a go, have a play, and discover the whole world, the plethora, if you will, a smorgasbord of classic guitar tones from one guitar.